If you suffer from anxiety or you've ever had a panic attack, you know that it feels like you're going to die. So if that has happened to you, stick around because I'm going to give you 4 steps on how to stop that as soon as it starts happening. And stay till the end because I'm going to give you a bonus technique that you can use anytime. Hello, my loves. Thank you for being here at Ask Norby. I'm Norby, a licensed clinician, and I'm here to help you with your anxiety, especially if you have panic attacks. So if you are the kind of person that has ever experienced anxiety, and when it gets to that point, you know how difficult it can be. You feel like you have ice running through your veins. Anxiety can affect your appetite, whether that's because you no longer want to eat anything or you want to eat everything that comes across your path. It affects your sleep, whether it's because you're sleeping a lot and you don't feel like getting up, or you're sitting in bed or laying in bed and you can't get any sleep. So anxiety can really affect every aspect of your life. So it's important for us to be able to find ways to control it. And that's why I'm here to give you 4 steps on how to control your anxiety and those panic attacks. So let's get started with step number 1. So when you start feeling that anxiety, the very first thing that I want you to do is I want you to stop and I want you to breathe. Just take a very deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want you to just accept that you're simply feeling anxiety. And I know that sounds weird. And many of my patients kind of ask me like, really, Norby? I'm in the middle of having a freak out and you are saying, just stop and accept that I'm freaking out. But here's the thing, is there's a lot of research that's been done that if you take that moment to stop and acknowledge, okay, this is what's happening in my brain right now. I think that I am going into this fight flight mode. I'm trying to protect myself. I'm going into this survival mode. It actually will help bring down your anxiety because you're normalizing it. You're saying, okay, what my brain is doing to my body makes sense because this is how I was wired. And so stop, breathe, and just acknowledge that you're having the anxiety. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is I want you to explain to yourself what is happening. And you're saying, well, I don't know what's happening. It just feels like I'm dying. It feels like I can't breathe. It feels like, somebody is coming after me. And I totally get that. So I'm going to explain to you what's happening. Your body, your brain specifically, has an area that has a sort of alarm system, and it's going to turn on and activate anytime that it perceives a threat. And that threat doesn't have to be real. It can be something that's perceived. It can be an imaginary threat, or it can be a very real threat. And what do I mean by that? So let's say you're somebody like me. I am terrified of heights, right? And so if I am walking along a bridge and I look over and I see how high it is, I'm going to start freaking out, right? But that's because my brain is going into that, okay, I have to turn on the alert mode so that I can keep myself alive. And even though there's nothing that's going to happen, I'm not going to fall, there's clearly a barrier there, I might start going into having anxiety because my brain is reacting to that threat. So maybe you're at work and your boss passes and you say good morning and they don't say good morning back, and all of a sudden you start feeling anxious. Oh my goodness, did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? Maybe I'm going to lose my job. Maybe they're doing cuts, and you start feeling all of this anxiety. That's a perceived threat. Nothing has happened that is going to cost you your life. Nothing is happening that tells you you're going to lose your job, but your brain is responding to that perceived threat. So if you start having a panic attack or you start having anxiety, after you do step 1, step 2 is, okay, this is my brain responding to what's the perceived threat. This is the perceived threat. Okay. Step number 3, which a lot of therapists use, is grounding yourself. And what we mean when we say ground yourself is we want you to use all 5 senses. So touch something. Okay. What am I feeling right now? I'm feeling wood. Smell something. What do I smell right now? Okay, I smell perfume. Look at something. Can you see, are you outside? Can you see the sun? Can you see the grass? If you're indoors, can you see the room that you're in? Are there any colors that catch your attention? What do you hear? Is there any noise outside? Do you hear cars humming by? Do you hear music? Use everything. If you can, pop a mint in, grab something that's going to, some ice. Ice is super helpful because it's got that cold kind of tricking your brain into focusing on that. Fun fact is that pain and temperature and pressure go through the same area in your brain. So if you just do some pressure, right? Give yourself a massage. That's going to make your brain have to focus on the pressure that you're putting on your hands, that you're putting on your elbows or your hands or whatever part of your body, your legs. And it's going to make sure that you're not giving 100% of your energy into that anxiety. So that's step number 3. Ground yourself with all 5 senses. Step number 4, it's a strange one. And a lot of people don't talk about this, but it actually works. And there's quite a bit of research that has been done to prove how this helps anxiety. And that is to practice gratitude. Even though in that moment, so hopefully the first 3 steps have brought you to the point where you're able to breathe a little bit more, where you're no longer hyperventilating or feeling like you're gonna die. Hopefully you're just like, okay, I'm still pretty anxious about this, but I feel like I'm a little bit more in control. So once you're in that spot, I want you to think of at least one thing that you're grateful for. And specifically, if you're like, well, Norby, I don't have anything to be grateful for in this moment. But that's the key, is having to force yourself to think about, what is it that I'm grateful for? If you're feeling lonely, you know what? Thank goodness that I'm not in an overcrowded jail. Thank goodness I'm not in a hospital, right? Things that you don't think about. If you're feeling maybe like, I need more money, well, thank goodness that I have all my abilities to be able to go get a job. Or thank goodness that I have, physical health. There's so many things that we take for granted, that if you just take the time to practice gratitude and to think about them, you're actually going to find that your brain starts releasing some of those good chemicals, those good neurotransmitters that make you feel good, like oxytocin. And then all of a sudden, the anxiety, right, which is typically brought on by cortisol and stress hormones, starts to go down even more. So I want you to practice that gratitude and think of at least one thing. So if you've made it this far, I'm going to give you the bonus tip, which is something called box breathing. So box breathing is actually a technique that's used by the military to help people be able to bring down their limbic system, to be able to calm down their whole body and be able to pretty much go into combat. So it really works, and the more you practice it, the better that you get at it. So the way that it works is this. You imagine that there's a box. That's why it's called box breathing, not because of boxing, but because of a box. And so you inhale for 5 seconds through your nose, and then you hold it for 5 seconds, and then you exhale for 5 seconds through your mouth, and then you continue exhaling for 5 seconds. So you go in through 5, hold for 5, out 5, and then continue 5. And if you do that at least 3 times in a row, you're going to see how you bring oxygen into your brain and it starts calming down. Now, when you're doing this box breathing, maybe the second time around, focus on your shoulders and bringing your shoulders down. Maybe focus on relaxing your arms. Maybe focus on stretching your neck out while you're doing the breathing. And just try and practice this box breathing every time that you start feeling anxiety. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I hope it helps you the next time that you have anxiety or that you feel a panic attack. And if you like this content, please like it and share it, because you subscribing, liking, sharing is really going to help us with our mission to get the information out to those that need it. I'll see you next time at Ask Norby.